Hey everybody, Westlake checking in tonight with a good friend of mine, Rebel Food Nurse. She's another coach that I've run across in my time here on Facebook and messing around on the internet, and quite an accomplished coach. She's done really well for herself. Her name is Dori, and Dori is from Raleigh, North Carolina. It's Dori Jones Peterson. Did I say it right?
Yes, you
And
did.
so I'm
Yes.
going to bring Dori on here in a few minutes and let her tell about her program. Pretty successful program. It's been going on for, I think, about 2 years now. It's been a little while. And
Yes.
she's had some success. And let her share her information. It might be something you might find interesting yourself. So, Dori, welcome.
Thank
Um,
you.
take just a few minutes and tell us about yourself. I know you're a nurse. I don't want to give it all away. I give you a chance to tell about yourself.
I am. Thank you for the intro. So I am a nurse. I have been a registered nurse for going on 17 years now. Can't believe that, but it's true. Mostly I've done acute care medicine, intensive care, emergency room, cardiac medicine. Like I said, recently I've dabbled in a little bit of psychiatric medicine, so that's been a different world. I have 5 children, and just been really building my coaching program here for the past little bit. Just very, very passionate about people and believing in people. I know people can change, and I know that through everything I've seen in medicine, that there's a lot of heartbreak and a lot of heartache out there with people's health. And so, have just probably spent the past, I would say actually close to probably a decade, just teaching people different ways of lifestyle, those who are open to listening and receptive to just help them change.
Dory, that's kind of neat. I want to kind of elaborate on this of just a little bit at this point you just brought out, because so many people go, and I'm not bashing doctors, but so many of us go to a doctor for a quick fix, where I think a doctor, heart of hearts, if he had the time and he knew that you were serious about getting better and doing something to change your life, wouldn't they look for an alternative as to how you could improve your life without giving you a quick fix prescription, so to speak? Does that make sense?
Yes, and I think a lot of doctors would. I tell people, and especially even my clients, I say there's so many problems that are broken in the medical system, and so it's not all their fault. They're crunched with time. We're taught in school medicine and drugs. I mean, or medicine and diagnosis and drugs, and that's it. Disease and drugs is what we're all taught, whether you're nurse or doctor. And I think they do the best they can. You think about any doctor's appointment is, typically a 15-minute appointment. How much can they get? How much
Right.
education can they do in 15 minutes? They can't. They have time enough to listen to you just barely and write a prescription.
Yeah, yeah. Well, hey, that's getting a little bit off the subject. I want to talk about your program. So,
Yes.
why? Obviously, you got a big heart for people. So, I mean, it's kind of silly to ask that question. Why would you get started? Obviously, it's because of your concern and care for people. But what got you into this Rebel Food Nurse, and why the name? Where'd you come up with Rebel Food?
Well, so I decided, probably 3 years ago, to really kind of brand myself and to kind of really put myself out there for who I was. And I'm always kind of challenging the system a little bit. So I'm always talking about food and lifestyle. And lifestyle is huge. I mean, stress reduction, emotional healing, food healing. We're really healing ourselves from the inside out. It's all about self-care. And I realized as a nurse, working 10 years of nights and being in the industry for 17 years, very high stress, high, just a very exhausting profession. So I knew the lifestyle I was living, and I could see the lifestyle other people were living in, as well. So I branded myself Rebel Food Nurse because that's all I talk about. I talk about food. I talk about food all the time, and that's unfortunately in our world a little bit, rebellious, if you will, because everyone, a lot of people in medicine are just talking about drugs. Well, what medication do you need? I want to say, what lifestyle change or what food change do you need? Because that is what heals us. We're able to heal from the inside out. We just have to focus on that.
That's good stuff. So, in your program, what do you teach people? What kind of foods to eat? How to portion their food?
So I started out, Wes, really teaching people how to food prep. That was my forte, really, and that's kind of how I started. I really believe strongly in supplementation, but I also know supplementation is not enough. If you're supplementing and you're eating like crap, that's not going to help you a whole lot. You're still going to be putting in so much junk. So I really started teaching food prep, and that I start with a very core foundation, because I have to teach people how to read a label, how to prep their food, how to do very basic food prep so their food lasts longer, they're spending less on groceries, and so that they know how to do it so they can prep for success. Because if you don't prep, it's very difficult to get through your week and have a successful week of eating if you don't have food prepped. So I start there. I start with a food foundation. I also teach them a little bit about some of the things that affect their eating habits, such as emotions and that sort of thing. So we go into different things with the first program. I have four programs now. And they're pretty sequential. They have to go into program 1 before they can go into 2 and 3. But that's where I start. Then I lead them on to program 2, which is also the 4 pillars, where we talk about how to really be healthy, the different areas of food and nutrition and exercise, all of that, and how to start to modify their lifestyle. So we do a lot of training.
That's interesting. So how does this set up? I asked this, this is not actually a course that I got to go to Raleigh, North Carolina to take. This is all done on the internet.
It is.
You're talking 4 weeks, 6 weeks?
For the first 2 programs. So my third program is emotional eating. We don't really talk a whole lot about food. We talk about emotional eating. Like, why are we emotionally eating? So programs 1 and 2 are 4 weeks each. And then program 3 is 12 weeks. So they're all set up online. My clients get content every single week. They get it emailed to them. There's anywhere between 3 and 6 videos where I'm doing instructing and teaching on those videos. And they watch those videos, and then they come to one group session every week via Zoom, like we're doing now. And we talk about it. We talk about the content. We talk about how they're doing. We talk about questions. It's a one-on-one type of group session.
Wow. How do you find time? I work at a hospital too, so I see the nurses. They're working 4 days a week, 12-hour shifts, and then you got 5 kids to boot.
I do.
My hat's off to you.
Thank you. 2 of them are older. My boys are younger, and they're insane. So they're 6, 8, and 13. So they're crazy. You know what, Wes? I do it at night. I typically do my coaching sessions in the evening. I try with all of my heart to get my kids to bed, but I find time because I'm passionate about it. I cannot ever imagine not coaching. It's my heart and soul. I love seeing people progress, even if it's inch by inch, baby steps. And it's something that I have worked hard to evolve over the past 2 years, but predominantly really, really hard over the past year. I'm very proud of my program now, because it's finally where of course, we can always find ways to perfect things, but it's finally where it needs to be, where it's delivering the content that it needs to teach people the things they need to know.
Well, I know I've watched a couple of I've seen you. In fact, that's how I met my life coach, was watching one of your programs. She was one of your guest speakers one night. It is really interesting, very informative. I'm curious, as we close this down, if you could share with me, is there maybe 1 or 2 stories, or maybe a client that you had that had great success, maybe a hallmark? I'm sure you've got some highlights over the 3 years, maybe 1 or 2 people that stand out in your head that, after, you don't have to mention names, made drastic changes that they've seen into your program.
I do. I have I have many, but I have a gal right now who's just starting my program tomorrow, who's starting the updated version of it, but she's someone that I coached probably 3 years ago, and I just did verbal coaching with her. Because we do more than just food coaching. What I do really essentially is life coaching as well. We talk about everything in my program, everything. We're not just focused on food, we're focused on life. And she's someone that I coached, like I said, without all the content, in visual form now. and you know, had lost 30 pounds within the the 10 or 11 weeks that we had coached together just through verbal coaching. I never always know the stories, because a lot of times, you know, people aren't always sharing them, but I was really excited to hear that she also had gotten off all her medications, everything. I was stunned. I just found this out last week. and she had been impacted for 3 years and I didn't even know. She's like, I came off all my meds. I lost 30 pounds. You know, you just never know to the degree that you're impacting someone's life. And so I've got many stories like that. But I had a guy enter my program last year who lost 30 pounds the first month that he was in it.
Holy cow, that's incredible.
Yes, it was. Yeah, he's a really good student. That's all I can tell you. He follows things to the T. I'm like, you're like the best student ever. It was great.
Awesome. That's awesome. So Dori, if somebody's interested in more information on your class, how can they find you? How can they contact you?
They can reach out to me via Facebook, of course, under, you know, I'm under Dori Jones Peterson, of course, in parentheses is Rebel Food Nurse. I also have a Rebel Food Nurse Facebook page. I'm not on there as much as I'm on my personal page, and they can always email me as well. So I've got some videos on YouTube under Rebel Food Nurse. So my email is on there as well at totalbodymoringa@yahoo.com. So I have stuff all over the place. They just have to search me and they'll find me. They can just send me a message on Facebook is probably the easiest way.
Dori, thank you so much. Oh, real quick, what are the 3 programs you currently have? What are they called? What are the names?
So the first one is called the Food Foundation. That's program 1. A lot of my clients refer to them just as programs 1, 2, and 3 because many of them have been through them. So program 1 is the Food Foundation, and program 2 is the 4 Pillars of Health. Program 3 is called Fat is a Family Affair, and that's based on the book by Judy Hollis called Fat is a Family Affair. We actually go into depth in that book and we read it together and we come to group sessions every week. So it's very much talking about emotional eating and our eating patterns. So, oh, and lastly, the last program, so I just came out with Detox Me, which is also a 10-day cleanse program, which I did several years ago and have brought it back. So I have a lot of people who are excited about that.
Dori, thank you so much for your time. And I'm going to share this with my friends. I'm sure there's a lot of people that have a real interest in what you have to offer. And I wish you the best of luck. Thank you for taking time out of your evening. I know you're a busy lady, so to allow me to interview you. And I do appreciate your time.
My
good
pleasure.
Luck to you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.